Hi Venkat, nice to be together with you on this video. It's a great time to look at the product. We have talked about the benefit of FlexibleIR platform and how to use it and any aspect. But today we're going to have a deep focus into its functionality and which is great because on YouTube or anything you don't see so many videos explaining products. You see lots of discussions, but today we're going to change that and we're going to look in depth in the functionality and the UI of your FlexibleIR platform. Thanks very much for being with us, and over to you.
Sugi, thank you so much for your time, and it's a pleasure talking to you. Today I'm going to walk through the functionality of FlexibleIR. So let us start looking at how some of the features look like. So the moment you log into the platform, the key thing are the playbooks. Let us look at how login with disabled account playbook look like. So this is a widget and you can see a view. When I click on the view button, it takes me to the Kanban board, which is this exact screen interface. It has three clear phases: preparation, initial analysis and remediation. These are the steps we would conduct for a login with disabled account. Please note that the playbook is structured. It is broken down into phases and it has steps. It has course of actions. This is a playbook which is simple. Now let me also show you a playbook which could be a little bit much more complete in the sense of the phases. It's a website defacement playbook. It has the phase of preparation, detection, identification, containment, remediation, recovery and aftermath, and each steps associated in each phase. Now, in case we want to go a little bit deeper into a step, we can drill down. For example, check if it is blocking my business transaction. I can go deeper into it. I can add labels, I can add receive date, I can add description, I can add checklists, subtasks and attachments. Also comment can be added. Now, this particular playbook can be modified very easily. Let me show you how it can be easily. You can add steps. I'm adding a new step here. I can export this playbook in different formats. I can download it as a Word document. I can export as a PDF file. Let me export here as a PDF file. Let me open the file. So this is a PDF file generated out of the Kanban board. It has steps of preparation, initial analysis. It also has the step 1 that we tried to add a few minutes back. The playbook also has various phases. It has a workflow. Initially it's the draft mode and then it goes to reviewed, from draft to reviewed to production. And finally, in case we do not want them, we can always move it to a deprecated stage. So this is how a typical playbook would look like. Also, it can be shared. It can be shared across to specific customers or clients that you want. In case you have subsidiaries, you can share it with them. Moving on, now we have a playbook. It has to be practiced. We can create simple games around this particular playbook. Here is a game for identifying some of the wrong steps in this particular playbook. So this is a game where I need to identify 3 wrong steps in the login with disabled account playbook. So what are the 3 steps? Let me check out. Let me start the game. These steps look fine. These steps look fine. Now any step which could be wrong, for example, document less to save time. So this is the wrong step definitely. So in this way I can select the wrong steps and then I can stop the game. Okay, I know I scored 1 out of 3. So that's how we can play a game and get better at the playbook. At the same time, you can create an incident around this particular playbook and try to practice this incident. So there's an incident page where you can create incidents and then practice them. Now, Please note that there will be cases where you may not have a playbook for that particular scenario. It's a new 0-day attack. It's some unknown attack. It's easy. We can create playbooks on the fly. In this case, I'll demonstrate how there is a completely unknown attack and we are going to respond to it. Okay. Please note that I'm selecting React Mitigate options. This is the library of all the tasks that we can have for preparation, identification, containment, eradication and recovery. You can build your own libraries around it. Now I'm creating a new playbook which I will call as my new 0-day attack. Something which is new and nobody has a playbook for it. So I know for this particular incident, I need to do these steps. These are my steps for identification. I need this step. I need this step. Please note that a new playbook is getting created here. All I'm doing is selecting the steps or course of actions. I need this step for containment. I need to block the IP address. As part of eradication, I need this step. I need this step and this step. And for recovery, I need these two steps. At the same time, I realize I need to add a few more steps. I can add one more additional step here. New step to block firewall settings. I can add a new step. I can change the order. So in this way, a new playbook is ready for me to respond.
So this is if it's 0-day, or if I remember you have a library of I think about 200 playbooks available to you.
Yes.
I could start with any of them which is close to what I want to do, and I can then modify or add things to it. So I can either create from zero, I guess, or modify in some way or another. So that's why I can customize it for my own way of working and my own situation, I should say.
Absolutely. If you see, we have around 200 playbooks here, right? At the same time, let's also go to the home page now. So we have around 207 playbooks which is available, and using this, you can imagine you can create hundreds of new playbooks. It's easy. You can import these playbooks, make a copy of these playbooks and work on them. Please note that there are features like import. You can import, make a copy of it, work on it. At the same time, if you want to have a quick view, there's a quick view option which tells exactly this is how a playbook looks like in its simplistic form. So here we walk through a playbook example game. Now we also saw how to create a new playbook. At the same time, we have a few more capabilities which is very important. We need to analyze a playbook. In this case, for example, we have a playbook. We can do a little bit more detailed analysis. Let's do a step analysis. Let's take the playbook that we have. We created a playbook, or we saw one playbook from login disabled account. Now I can view this playbook. We will do step-by-step analysis. We want to time this playbook out. So far we created a playbook, but now how much time does this playbook take? It can take 1 hour to run, or it can take 10 minutes to execute. Now let's see step by step. Okay, now these preparation steps we can skip. Next. But analysis, please note that we added step 1. Now let's see the next step. Now, is this actionable? Okay, yes, this is actionable.
So this is your quality control on the one side and your optimization step on the other, I assume.
Exactly. So we need to, one is create the playbook, at the same time ensure that we are able to run it within the effective or available SLA for that particular alert or incident. This particular task would need 1 minute. And is this step seen often? Can we automate it? Yes. So the eventual thought process is we do want to automate, and this is the first step towards automation. Next, let's go to the next step, understand it better. So in this way, we go through each of the steps and understand what could be the right step, what may be a step with a slightly heavier on time. So at this point, from the demo perspective, I'll ensure to submit and exit. But the thought process here is we exactly can time out and understand how much time each task in the playbook would take. Now, going back in, so these were the capabilities around the playbook. Let us also see how do we create an incident. How do we create an incident and practice it. So let me create an incident here. And let me take template NIST. I'll also tell why we take template NIST to start with. So template NIST, severity is critical. Please note I'm creating an incident. Also, one of the key things that I want to highlight here is we create incidents and practice. Unless we do not create incidents and practice, it's not going to be the second nature for us to respond for that particular alert. So now case number 1626 is created. Too many questions on the web server or too many requests on the web server today. Now this particular playbook, let me view it. Okay, so it has too many requests on the web server. So what are the steps for identification? What do I need to do? I can add check for how many requests. Is there a new campaign from the marketing team?
So this is an example of where you mostly build it by yourself, either
Exactly.
by manually entering or by using the pre-built components.
Exactly. Is there a DDoS attack? You can opt to enable scaling on the web server. Like you can go to your AWS account or any cloud account provider and maybe scale up, add additional machines to take the load. But here is an example where I'm showing you how you can create an incident and practice the incident. Now, if there's a playbook, I can attach a playbook to this and I exactly know what to do. So that's the objective. Now, going back, this is primarily for practicing incidents. We have playbooks, we have practice incidents. At the same time, we need a little bit more features or capabilities integrating with our available solutions. Like you can always integrate with Slack. You can push a playbook to your Slack account. You can push it to a Confluence in case you have a Confluence as your knowledge base. You can push it there. You can push it to ServiceNow as knowledge base again, to Trello. So we do have integration so that the playbooks can be exported or can be put in the format that you would like to use or view. Now, going one more step ahead,
Just to interrupt you there. So, the way I have been used to it, we have the playbooks, and the playbook is managed by the technical team, by the core team, and maybe by different members depending how you have built set up yourself. But you could have in Slack or in Jira or in ServiceNow, you could have a bigger community who is following what's happening on the incident. Yeah, they may not have access to the playbooks, but they still are stakeholders at some degree, so that you can run at the two levels. I have had cases where we had 50 people in Slack, but the incident itself was run by a smaller number of people who would typically run the playbook based on the FlexibleIR structure.
Excellent. At this point, if you see, we have created and practiced incidents. We have seen playbooks. At the same time, these playbooks can be a lot more effective in case you practice it over a tabletop. Let us look at a slightly advanced use case now where there's a real crisis. Let's assume there's a ransomware impacting the company. Now, how do we take up a scenario? We can always create scenarios on our platform. You can create new scenarios. You can have a record of scenarios which we provide as professional service and practice this over your tabletop exercises. Now, here is an example of a ransomware attack happening on one of the business locations. And this is how the war room would look like. It's a war room interface. You start your tabletop, you start your simulations, the clock is running, and you need to know exactly what are my steps to respond and what does each team do. And in this tabletop, if you see, this is particularly interface for the drill manager. What does your IR team do? What does your corporate team do? What does the CEO do? What does each of the functions in your organization do? So there are playbooks around them, and you can always practice. In this case, for example, there are few tasks which I can start off. For example, there's a task for the IR team. So they can start on this task. A task is started, and everyone else gets a notification that someone is working on this task, and they can stop the task, add a comment, and I can also create a Jira ticket for it. So in this way, everyone in the crisis management team can start their tasks, end their tasks, they can create their own tickets, manage the tickets. At the same time, there's a lot more you can know what's happening around in the war room updates. Who has started? What time? For example, in this case, the case has already started, the crisis has started, and what's happening. You can know exactly the steps that have been taken. Now, you can also do conversations with your team and talk to the team on the chat interface. At the same time, look at all the artifacts that have been involved in this particular ransomware response. I can look at the Jira tickets. So overall, this is how you can practice your drill over a simulation. But what is most important is the after action report. Once you have played the drill, you stop the drill, you can create the after action reports which clearly tell what are the goals, what are the objectives of this drill, and what are the things that went well, what are the lessons learned, what are the findings, observations, and what is the improvement plan finally. So that's how an entire drill gets effectively planned and executed, and at the end of it you get a report which tells all about how this entire drill worked and was it helpful for you.
Yeah, super. I mean, especially that you add the timeline here. You can exactly see where things went at a good speed or where there were bottlenecks, and then go back to optimize this operation. I think also maybe you want to add a few comments. We have focused on the playbook, and maybe in our mind we imagine it's mostly the technical incident management team, maybe in collaboration with IT, which doesn't work. But your tool is also configured to have not only the cybersecurity team or the incident management team involved and the IT team, but also in some cases where, like a ransomware, where maybe legal, corporate comms, the CEO, the CTO, the CEO, etc., may also be involved. So you can actually have a similar platform to have a larger group tackling the problem.
Absolutely. In fact, here is an example of what are the steps for the CEO. At this point, I'll take a small deviation, but it is important. Let me walk through a very important context that you brought in, Guy. Is how does a company handle a complete ransomware attack? And it could be any crisis, but how do they handle it with all the functions coming in? So let me open this particular playbook. Something very interesting. Please note that this particular playbook looks at all aspects of a big crisis management team, right? So now here are the stories. Like when a ransomware attack happens, you need to tackle it in various stories. You cannot do one step at a time. You need to have a lot of work streams which are working in parallel, and they're all aligned with each other. You need to have a lot of narratives that are happening in parallel if there is a crisis. So far, if you look at it, we moved from an event like a login disabled account, there is something happening around it, to a website defacement, which could be an incident. The first one being an event, the second being an incident. The third, which we are looking at, the ransomware response, it's primarily moving towards a crisis. So during a crisis, how do we handle, right? So let's go a little bit deeper now. A crisis is involving the community, right? There's a big community involved in a crisis. Let us look at how a playbook for a crisis looks like. Right? So here is the crisis playbook. And most important thing in a ransomware attack is to understand if the attack happens at 10 o'clock today. Now, what should we do immediately, right? What should be your immediate strike activities? Okay. So now, You need to have your contacts well established, your roles and responsibilities well established. The team should be knowing exactly what they do. If you need, we'll help you also to create a crisis management team, which tells, okay, these are the team members, these are the roles, and these are the responsibilities. Now,
I think you're mentioning, sorry to interrupt you here because it's an important point. I think your company offers the playbooks, offers the platform, and that's what you sell. But also you have professional services which will help a customer to customize these playbooks for their own needs, or even to organize the incident team in a good way. So that means you offer the full spectrum actually of in terms of product and service offer to get someone started quickly, because many people need a platform like that with pre-existing playbooks and customized, but also they may help in many other aspects. So I think they could contract your professional services to help them set up the complete operation, I should say.
exactly. We added to this, what I want to highlight here is we are a full stack for cyber resiliency actually. Like we have an entire program which covers your top down to bottom up approaches. At the bottom up, we need to handle alerts at the SOC level. We need to handle every alert at the SOC level. And from the top down, if there's a crisis, if a ransomware attacker has put up on the data leak side, how do you respond? So entire top down for crisis management, including bottom up approach from the analyst, is what we provide as a full stack for building IR capabilities. For the next 2 minutes, I'll walk through how simple it becomes on our platform to explain a ransomware playbook to your management team. Now, when attack happens, you need to have your contacts well established. You need to know what is your technical level response strategy. When attack happens, like a ransomware, we need to know exactly what is a crisis team. We need to have out of band communications. We need to identify the ransomware family, download an authoritative write-up of the family, understand if it's a distributed attack, understand if the manual propagation is happening. Now, if you look at it, this is my strategy for a technical level response. I'm going to detect the problem. It could be external or internal. I know the steps to analyze and scope the problem, contain the problem, remediate and post-incident. But at the same time, I need a bigger picture. That's the tactical level response. I need to know what are the key things that I need to respond as a CEO of the company, operations team. Here is just an example. You can put your exact company specific owners or stakeholders photos just to show them that they are important and how important they are. Right? So now here it tells what does the CEO do? What does the operation team do? What does the CIO do? The crisis management team as a set of leaders. What do they do is what we need to provide them in a simple, easy to use playbook. Now,
I think this is great because there may only be so many crises, but when we have a crisis, these stakeholders from senior management together with incident management team, maybe IT, have to work closely together to solve the problem. And if in your company there's not an incident every month, you need to know exactly what to do if something is happening. And I think especially for these stakeholders who are not doing incident management in our area, at least every day, having them on board and having visibility on what the team does and what they should do is super.
excellent. Now, what we saw was a technical level response. There is also a strategic level response. Now, at the same time, you need to have a different perspective. You need to look at from the timeline perspective. You need to look at from if an attack happens today at 10 o'clock, between 10 and 12, what do I do? For the first 2 hours, which is called the golden hours, what should be my response? Next 6 hours, what do I do? Next 12 hours or the next 24 hours and subsequent 24 hours. So this way, you have different perspectives. So this gives you a lot more broader capabilities to handle a ransomware attack. And these are just examples where we have a lot more capabilities, lot more playbooks around how everyone has to respond. There are also playbooks around communication. How do we communicate? How do we communicate right? How do we ensure um, we follow some of the legal terms? How do we abide by some of the laws, the protocols? So there are playbooks specifically meant for them. But at least at this point of time, I want to highlight here that you need to have playbooks at various phases. You need to have at all levels playbooks. It could be a playbook for to pay ransomware or not, to pay the ransom or not. It could be a playbook for insurance. How do you work with the insurance team? So here is an example for a communication part of it. Should I decide to disclose or not? In case I want to decide to disclose a message to the customers. So how should I frame the message? When to disclose? How to disclose? Prepare for reaction, deliver the message, and you need to have templates for responding. Thanks, Giso. I hope at this point of time I'm giving a overall high-level picture of the product. At the same time, we'll have specific videos for specific use cases.
Yes, I think we have to go deeper on, for example, the drill part, which is becoming in every company now a very big thing, and especially drill with a larger team, because in the old days maybe a lot of responsibilities falls on the CIO, maybe the CISO, but today it is the CEO or the board who is responsible when there's cyber incident, and so their interest to be ready and work efficiently and have a tool where they have clear instructions is very important, and which can be exercised. So we'll dive into that in one of the next videos. Thank you very much for having taken us through the FlexibleIR platform and its multiple modules today. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Look forward for a greater resilient team. Thank you. Bye.